everyone, this is Christina from Karna's Eye Psychic LLC here on Universal Spirit Podcast. I am going to talk about this week about the spirit versus the soul, or the soul versus the spirit. Like, what makes them different? What is the misconception? What are your beliefs? And usually, like, how often do we use the word soul, what it's meant for, and what we use the word spirit for, and in and out of different contexts. So today is February 1st, 2022. It is actually the Chinese New Year, which I celebrate every year. And this year happens to be the year of the water tiger. So I'm actually very excited because I celebrate the Chinese New Year, and it's always a good thing to start doing something new or start something the first day of the Chinese New Year. A lot of superstitions go around, like you should burn incense, don't clean your home or you will clean out your luck. There's a lot of, things, it's like a, 2 weeks of celebration for the Lunar New Year. It's the year, when the moon changes hands in the universe and starts a whole nother season in the sky. So I just wanted to point out that today is the first day of the Chinese New Year. So happy Chinese New Year to everyone who is listening. And now we're going to get into what makes the spirit and the soul different, and what makes them similar, and how we use them. Now, the spirit, by definition, is a non-physical part of a person, which is like the seat or the foundation of their emotions, their character, the qualities, regarded as forming, different types of, characteristics of a person. It could just be a group of thoughts, a thought process, and even like an embedded spiritual culture. Feeling like you are a lone wolf or running with the wolves. I have a wild spirit. I have a loner spirit. I have a writer spirit or a poet spirit. And by verb of a definition, just be like, something that is conveyed rapidly or secretly. It refers to an extension of you, creating two parts of you, the physical and the metaphysical. It would be almost like your body is the pot and your spirit is like the smoke inside the pot, the heat, the temperature. It's like the living thing inside of the body. The soul has a similar definition when it comes to emotional and intellectual energy, when it comes to being a separate form from the body, being the smoke inside of the shell or inside the pot, supposedly. However, when defining the soul, we tend to add a little extra to it, where it's like mostly like your passion, right? It's like the soul, is almost overrides the spirit. Like, it's almost like a bigger part of the spirit. If not, it's like the parent of the spirit. So there's the soul, the parent, then there's the spirit, the child, and then fused together, these energies combined form an energy, or at least a life that then gives life to our physical body, the shell. Basically, the soul is the fuel, the spirit is the driver, and the body is the vehicle. If you were to really personify it in that way, it does make a lot of linear sense. A lot of people would argue that the soul and the spirit are in fact the same thing. They're just two different words for the same energy, for the same input, for the same embodiment of energy that is inside of a physical body. A lot of people would say no, that they are in fact different, where the spirit can be just the driver and the soul is in fact the fuel, or basically the design, right? The soul would be the design, and the spirit would be the execution of that design, and the body is needed to execute the plans of the soul. Now, mind you, the people that would argue that would be more of a group of people who are more believing in science rather than, spiritual beings or matters. Science says you really just need your brain, blood flow, heartbeat, all those physical things that just make genetic and scientifical sense in order for you to be alive. All the organisms working together as one, and all we need is energy, not is it energy, basically electric shock, in order to actually, to be alive right now. We are just, electric shocks living in a shell of a body. Whereas if you are more spiritual, and actually if you are more religious, a lot of religious institutions do incorporate the belief of a soul, separate from the body, because in a lot of religions, if not all of them, they do, in fact, say that when your physical body is done living, that you are going to go to a certain place according to the acts of your soul, or according to the energy of your soul, or how you've been using your soul, whether for good or for evil. There's always a place for good and evil, that you are directing yourself in those directions, and we are here to live and have a human experience, to either cure the soul, either of bad karma, to learn lessons, whichever. There is a means to an end, that the soul, in fact, will be assigned to a place and time after the physical body has expired. This is giving the belief of also an afterlife. This is also giving the belief of a pre-life, just past life. So meaning that your soul or your spirit does not in fact die. It does not expire. It just kind of floats around in space until there is a physical body available. But this is what is generated in a lot of religious beliefs, that your soul has a place either in the body or in the afterlife or in the before life. Some people are half and half. So some people are black and white, where there is no spirit and just a soul, or there is no soul and just a spirit. See, I would like to know exactly what you think about that and what your take is on that. For those of us who only believe in one or the other, and for those of us who believe in both, and what exactly your ideas of, what their functions are and how they correlate to each other. See, I find that very interesting, because you will find in a lot of text, people mentioning, religious text, scientific text, and they will mention the spirit, but it's not when you get into real deep, almost like dark spiritual, beliefs, and really, really deep, dark, religious beliefs, where they will mention the soul. A lot of, mystics, and a lot of, occultists, and a lot of, soothsayers, psychics, and oracle and mediums, will mention the existence of a soul. It's almost like a super spirit, like they're like I was saying before, like a parent entity to the spirit. But I would like to know exactly how you feel, about this, what you think is the either or the either here, whether there is in fact a both, and what their relationship is to each other, and also in your meaning and your path, and what it means to the body, your emotions, your intelligent energy, and just your overall place, where you are, where you came from, what you're meant to do, etc. So definitely comment about that. I would love to hear what you have to think about that. When referring to the paranormal, what do you believe is really haunting, a home or an area or a space? Is it the spirit, or is it the soul? Is it the spirit that is left behind and the soul that is now roaming the universe, or if the soul is now in a, different body with a different spirit? That's definitely something I would love to get into. I would love to have that conversation. For those of you who are brave enough to have that conversation, what do you think paranormal energy really is? Is it the spirit, or is it the soul? So if you're brave enough, or interested enough to have that conversation with me, I would definitely like to make a part 2 of this, what the soul and the spirit means to the larger, the larger, culture, really, and the mainstream ideas and the not so mainstream ideas. Definitely would love your input. So once again, it's Christina from Karma's Eye Psychic on the Universal Spirit Podcast. I will see you next week with another interesting talk. And happy Chinese New Year, lovies.